Hello, lovely, and welcome back to Confidence After Cancer. Today, we're talking about emotional resilience at work, and that is all about staying calm, centered, and confident, even when the world around you might look like a CrossFit class warming up and people just absolutely losing it. And I've been in this environment where people are getting very cross, very emotional, very frenetic about things that maybe don't matter so much to you. How can you stay calm, centered, and confident? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. But first of all, just thinking about why stress might hit you differently after a cancer diagnosis. Well, quite simply, your nervous system isn't the same as it was before. After the shock and the trauma of a diagnosis, of a cancer diagnosis, or any major event you've had in your life, and then maybe the grueling treatment that you've been through, or maybe any other life event that you've been through before, your nervous system simply isn't the same as it was before. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, but I think it's really good to stop and acknowledge that you may have been living in a state of high alert for a long time. And I'm going to talk next week about fear of recurrence, because that is something that people live with a lot. But when the shock of this diagnosis or the shock of any major event has been through your life, your nervous system is simply not the same as it was before. And I think to stop and acknowledge that and think, okay, it's different. I need to maybe react a little bit different than I have before. That's okay. One of the big things for me was to become more aware of my limits and realize that actually I was more stressed than I was before. I was living constantly in fight or flight, but it's completely understandable. And when you're in that situation, tiny stresses can feel big. I found myself getting angry or bursting into tears for the most simple little things. But that is completely normal. But we don't have to stay in that place. And as a coach, I've learned lots of tips, techniques, and tools to help me move through this. And that's what I work with my clients. And that's why I like to do this podcast, to share a few of these little tips and techniques, because whatever situation you are in, they could help you. And so the first one I want to give you is a really simple tool. And we all do it. And I know when I'm a bit nervous, my breathing is very shallow. It's not good. So the first thing you can do is really just bring your shoulders down and give yourself the gift of the 4-second reset. It's very, very simple. Breathe in for the count of 4. So breathe in and count 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold your breath and count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then breathe out slowly for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you do that twice, just repeat that very simple thing, breathing in for 4, holding for 4, then breathing out for the count of 6. This is your reset button. It calms you down. It calms your body. It calms that little, maybe chattering monkey mind, as I call it, that you've got. So do this little reset before you respond to somebody, before you reply to that email, before you respond to somebody that's pushing your buttons. Just do this little thing for a short space of time. Really calm yourself, ground yourself, come back to you. And that will allow you to think more clearly and not respond emotionally, whether that's in fear or in stress, whatever other emotion you might be feeling. That 4-second reset helps you to calm down, think clearly, and think about, how do you really want to respond to this? Okay. The other thing I've talked about before about little boundaries, and I'm going to give you again some phrases that have helped me in a work situation where I felt put on the spot. I felt very stressed. I felt all eyes were on me looking for me to solve a problem, or all eyes were on me when I was given extra work to do. And I was thinking, oh my God, can I cope with this? Oh my goodness, how am I going to cope with this? No, just think again, calming yourself, and practice saying some little phrases like, very calmly, let me come back to you on that. Or you might want to say to your boss who's giving you far too many tasks to do, okay, what's the priority here? What's most important? Or here's another one, I can do that, but not today. Very calmly, you're not apologizing, you're not making excuses, you are being very calm. And these are micro boundaries, little phrases, little tools and techniques to help you protect your inner peace. And that is everything. This is part of your healing. And then the next thing I'd like to give you is our internal dialogue. And I've talked about this before, turning that little chattering monkey mind that's in everybody's head, turning it from being your critic to being your biggest supporter. And the thought that changed everything for me, my affirmation, and affirmations are just a thought. We're having affirmations all the time. We're having thoughts all the time, whether we like it or not. So, how about being conscious of having an empowering affirmation, an empowering, powerful thought? And the thought that changed everything for me was, I don't have to match the energy in the room. I can bring my own. And being very calm and not apologetic about that, but acknowledging that my peace and my healing is now sacrosanct. There is no business problem. There is nothing that anybody else can bring to me as a problem that is more important than my own healing, because my health is everything to me now. And you can't help other people. You might think, well, my family come first or other people come first. Absolutely, they may do. But you can't help other people if you're not in a good place, if you're not feeling strong and grounded. And Mel Robbins talks about this. She's got this very famous book now called Let Them. And you have to acknowledge that you can't change other people, but you can work on changing yourself. And sometimes people have this self-limited belief that says, well, I can't really change. I've always been a worrier, or I can't really change. I've always been a negative person. No, my love, I would challenge you with that and say maybe you've got some bad habits in the way that you talk to yourself. And there's no judgment here, but if they are not empowering you, if they are not making you happy, how about changing the way that you talk to yourself and making yourself that little chattering voice inside your head? How about making it your biggest supporter instead of your biggest critic? So give yourself an empowering thought. And this is one that works for me. You might want to choose another one, and that's fine. But my empowering thought is, I don't have to match the energy in that room. I can bring my own. And that has really, really helped me. And I'd like to tell you a little story. And again, I never break a confidence of anybody that I'm working with. But I did have a client who had returned to work. And at first she was struggling. And she kept apologizing for not being as fast as before. And I hear this a lot, not just with people who've been through cancer, but people getting older, people apologizing for, my memory's not what it used to be, or I'm not as sharp as I used to be before. And just forget that, because with age and experience comes other gifts. So I would ask you to stop apologizing and think about not apologizing for not being as fast as before. Because this lady, guess what? Once she slowed down her pace, and it wasn't, a huge thing that she did, but she gently worked on slowing down the pace and not being as frenetic and as frantic as she used to be, not working the long hours that she used to work, not always being the one that volunteered for everything. Once she slowed down that pace, kind of gave other people around her permission. The whole team followed this change, if you like, in energy, and she became their calm anchor. And instead of, as she feared, people being frustrated being around her, they were actually very, very grateful for the changes that she made. She became the calmness in a very disorganized, a very busy environment. So, again, nothing right and nothing wrong, just being more you. I would invite you to be more you and be more of what you need to live a happy, healthy life. And if you need to calm down, I'm not saying again that there's anything wrong with you, but if this is something that maybe is a habit that you've fallen into, or maybe the environment that you think you have to work to, how about becoming more calm and seeing if that helps you? So if you're returning to work, or if you are trying to manage work stress without crumbling, which a lot of people are, my 12-week Powerfully You program helps you to build clarity, to build boundaries, to improve your confidence and your energy without burnout. And if you'd like to explore what that might look like for you, you can just book a call with me, no obligation, using the link in the show notes somewhere around this podcast. We can jump on a call and just have a talk about where you're at now and what you'd like to be like. As we approach the end of this year, it's a really good time to take stock and think about what you want to improve for next year. I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolution. I'm not a huge fan of thinking, new year, new me, I'm going to throw everything out, but just very calmly reflecting on the year that you've had. And I'm going to talk about this more in podcasts in the next few weeks, reflecting on the year that you've had. What's been good? What do you want to take into next year? And maybe if you want to make some changes, how are you going to go about that? And what support might you need with that? Because if you need support, I'm here for you. So I'd always say, thank you so much for listening, my love. Take a deep breath. You are doing so much better than you think. It's a natural thing to always think about the things we do wrong. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are doing better than you think. And if you need any help with anything, please just ping me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Any ideas that you'd like me to talk about on a future podcast, anything that you'd like to talk one to one in confidence, of course, my love, you can share anything with me. And if I don't hear from you before that, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me. Help me if you can by liking and subscribing this podcast wherever you're watching it or listening to it, because it helps me to reach more people. But I'm so grateful to reach out and connect with you. I'm here for you. Don't forget that you are not alone. Speak soon.